I am not teaching, I am publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK test, part 564, while doing medial plane training. So we're training around the medial plane, isometric exercises. And all on one leg standing. And if you participate in the medial plane training, in the second part of the video, better set your arm rest. Now, we want to do a little video about what we learned about the British comedy. We want to say that during the medieval times there were jesters, are they called jesters. And they told jokes and made fun of people also, with their amusement. Shakespeare included comic characters. In the 18th century, political cartoons making fun of politicians and sometimes the royal family, they became more popular. 19th century, The Punch, a satirical magazine. 1840s. And today there's, for example, The Private Eye, making satire. In the 40s and 50s there were Morecambe and Wise. Morecambe? Morecambe and Wise, and they worked in music halls, a specific form of variety theatre, and they worked then in the television. And in the television there were in the 50s and 60s, for example, the Carry On movies, or The Lady Killers, or Passport, to Pimlico, examples of comedy. And Morecambe and Wise, Passport to Pimlico, Punch and Private Eye, just Private Eye. Private Eye. Punch and Private Eye, both. Okay, and then there was situation comedies developed, and there was the Wicked Wars in the 60s, Spitting Image in the 80s and 90s, Monty Python's Flying Circus from 69 onwards, specific type of comedy, and comedy and satire is all over important in Britain, and it is an important part of the British character to have the ability to laugh at itself. I think itself is not a character, so it's to laugh at themselves. It's been. Okay, I have a second camera rolling and I try to save it all down. Comedy in Britain. Already during the medieval times there were jesters, and they were making jokes, they were telling jokes, and were making also fun of people at the court and at the royal court. Okay, let's set that again. Comedy in Britain. Already during the medieval times there were jesters, and they were making fun at the royal court, and they were telling jokes to the amusement of the nobility or the king. William Shakespeare then included in some of his works comic characters. And then in the 18th century, in the 1840s, there the Punch came out, for example, a satirical magazine, and it became more and more common to make fun satire of politicians, to attack them with caricatures, so of politicians and sometimes also of a monarchy and the royal family. And then there is today the Private Eye, a satirical magazine which exists today and does basically that. I haven't got it in my head, or hand I want to do it again. And then we're going on with Morecambe and Wise. When were the dates exactly? 1800 political cartoons more common in the 18th century, and 19th then the Punch. Comedy in Britain. Already during the medieval times there were jesters, and these jesters were telling jokes and were making fun of people to the amusement of the nobility and the royal court and of a monarch. Then there was William Shakespeare, and William Shakespeare included in his works sometimes comic characters. In the 18th century, so 700 something, there it became more and more popular that there were caricatures and other things to attack and make fun of politicians, and sometimes also of a royal family or of a monarch. In the 1840s, then the Punch came out, the Punch. And the Punch is a satirical magazine, just doing that, making fun of politicians and the monarchy sometimes with caricatures and other stuff. And today there's the Private Eye, basically doing the same. Morecambe and Wise, they, for example, were working in music halls in the 30s and 40s, and 40s and 50s. And music hall, that is a specific form of a variety theatre. And now we transitioned to television, because then the television in the middle of the 20th century became the main form of entertainment in the United Kingdom. And now Morecambe and Wise, for example, were doing now their comedies instead of in these music halls in variety theatres. And in the 50s and 60s there were, for example, also comedies. For example, Passport to Pimlico, or The Lady Killers, or the Carry On movies. And then situation sitcoms developed, situation comedies. And these sitcoms running in television, and were oftentimes set at a workplace or at family situations. And when other things happened, I have no idea what I'm talking about. What was when happened? When came the other things? The satire has it's pretty fast over there explaining it to it. Maybe that's the problem. When that was the week with the wars, spitting image of Monty Python, and when did it up? Comedy in Britain. Already during the medieval times, there were jesters, and these jesters were to the amusement of people there, to the monarchy and the nobility, making fun of people and telling jokes. And then there was William Shakespeare, and he included in his work sometimes comic characters. And then in the 18th century, satire became more and more popular. This satire was making fun of politicians, attacking them even with caricatures, and also the monarchy. And there were Morecambe and Wise. They were working in music halls, which is a specific type of variety theatre. And they transitioned then to the television, which in the 20th century became the main source of entertainment in the United Kingdom. In the 50s and 60s there were comedies shot, for example, Passport to Pimlico, or The Lady Killers, or the Carry On movies. Then in the television developed the situation comedies, sitcoms, and they are oftentimes set at workplace or in family situations. And they are fun, should they be. And when there were, in the 60s, for example, the show That Was the Week With Wars, and then also Spitting Image in the 80s and 90s. In 1969, Monty Python and the Flying Circus, they started to do comedy, a specific type of comedy, a progressive form of comedy. And all over, comedy and satire is important in Britain, and it is part of a British character to have the ability to make fun of itself. And that is according to the Life in the UK Test Handbook, page 91 and 92. That is okay, I think. Now it was very fast, I went very fast afield, but I don't think it was more confusing. So we have that. So if you're here for what do we have about television, or including that already in the whole film and television video which we're planning, and which we're going to say all what we had to say to the comedy, and what we said to the films, and relisting all the movies, and what we have to television and radio, then you can go directly to the next video. We will do now the media plane training. If you participate in the media plane training, I first set the second camera, but is at your own risk. So if you participate in the media plane training, this is your own risk. We're starting. And we're doing that with bringing one leg up and bringing the foot up and down, up and down, up and down. Greeting mushroom, not the same thing about it. And now we're doing the jumping glider. Legs are staying wide apart, and we're breathing in. And out. Again in. And out. Again in. And the last one, in and out. And now breathe in and cross the legs. And out. I have a little problem there with Morecambe and Wise. I don't know if it's one person or if it's two persons. Is it a group? It was a little problem. And the next exercise, we are bringing one leg up, right angle with the leg, flex foot, even aligned hips, tall up with the back, and pressing from the inside against the knee. You can do it with a lot of effort. You can also take it a bit slower. So right angle with the leg, flex foot, even aligned hips, tall up with the back, little bend in the elbow, and press against the knee, a little longer. And now with the other leg. And press on the inside. Right angle with the leg, flex foot, even aligned hips, tall up with the leg, tall up with the back, and a little bend in the elbow. bit longer. Even line hips, start off the back, a little bend in the other. And to the next exercise. One leg up, and we're pressing from the top. Again, right angle of the leg, flex foot, even line hips, start off the back, and a little bend in the other. And with the other leg. Even line hips, tall up with the back, little bend in the other. We could include the opera over the other about theatre. Next exercise. Because I think about Gilbert and Sullivan. Because we also don't know. I believe, and now the knee presses up and to the side. But Gilbert and Sullivan are two people working together as a team. Over. Even line hips, tall up with her back, and the knee comes up and to the side. And on the other side. Knee comes up to the side. Even line hips, tall up with the back, and the knee presses up to the side. And last two. And the last exercise, the heavy swing door. One leg up with a right angle, flex foot, even line hips, tall up with the back, and we're pressing from the outside against the knee, and we're opening slowly. And we're closing again slowly. And we're opening again slowly. And now we're going to do it for last time, the third time. And again, closing. And on the outside. Leg up and press on the outside. Shoulder with the back, even with the tips. And open the leg slowly to the side. And close again slowly. Open again slowly. Close. Let's include theatre. Film and television and theatre. Music and opera. Culture, we got to big word culture. Now where we have culture. That was the third time. The closing exercise, we're breathing in. And out. Again in. And out. Again in. And out. And breathe in and close the legs. And out. That was the medial pain training. I thank you very much, and until next time.